It's official, Noah Gragson will join Petty GMS next season, and according to reports, NASCAR Cup Series Charters are now valued at $20 million apiece. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. Gosh, what's going on with my hair today? It probably looks just as messy as ever to you guys at home, but it's my hair, so I notice all the little details. That's just how this works. Also, quick side note before we get started, you might hear my voice is a little scratchier than usual. I'm feeling a little under the weather, so if my voice dies midway through, you know why. You don't have to adjust your screens. It's not a technical glitch, it's a physical voice glitch. Hopefully we make it through. The show must go on. And boy, we have a couple very interesting stories to get to. We'll talk Noah Gragson in a moment, we'll talk Charters in a moment as well, but I want to begin with something kind of cool I saw this morning. Many of you have probably seen this as well, but today, Alpha Prime Racing, NASCAR Xfinity Series team, revealed a new sponsor for Josh Bilicki's car at Watkins Glen in a couple weeks, and it's none other than the iconic cheese brand Sargento. Sargento? Wisconsin-based company. Josh Bilicki is from Wisconsin. And what makes this partnership all the more interesting and just kind of fun, the reason I'm highlighting it on the show is, if you go back a few weeks to the race at Road America, Josh Bilicki got off track at one point and plowed through one of the Sargento cheese billboards on the side of the road. The brand clearly got a huge kick out of it, and so they decided to sponsor Bilicki, become his primary scheme for a week. Again, that's coming up at Watkins Glen in just a couple weeks. Just a cool story. Man and a corporation coming together to make dreams come true and put a pretty nice looking paint scheme on track. I love this. Who doesn't love cheese? Other than, I guess, obviously lactose intolerant people. Anyway, it's a great looking paint scheme. Nonetheless, just wanted to spotlight that here first and foremost on the show. Now let's talk silly season. We've known for at least a week now that Noah Gragson was going to the 42 car, but today it was made official. Petty GMS held a press conference at their race shop in North Carolina. Noah Gragson, of course, in attendance. Richard Petty there, the face of the franchise. Mike Beam from GMS there as well. Next season will be Noah Gragson's first full-time season in the NASCAR Cup Series. A couple of takeaways just watching this press conference. One, Noah Gragson cut his hair once again. No mullet, nothing's hanging out the back there. And two, listening to some of Gragson's answers, the way he talked to the media up on stage, that's like the most polished I think I've ever seen Noah Gragson in front of a camera. He's known as sort of the laid-back, suit unzipped, shotgunning a beer with the fans kind of guy. I didn't get any of that from this press conference. And I'm not the only one who noticed this. Jordan Bianchi from The Athletic tweeted a photo of Gragson talking to Richard Petty and noted that there are a lot of yes sirs being uttered by young Gragson. Time will tell if this is truly the most suitable environment for a big personality like Noah Gragson, who, in my opinion, is a complete 180 from the much less polarizing, much more low-key personality that is and was Ty Dillon. Focusing on Noah Gragson, when he was at Kyle Busch Motorsports, where Kyle Busch himself was a little more hands-on, a little more abrupt, a little more of a straight shooter, if you will, that didn't seem to fit Gragson's personality very well. He left for Junior Motorsports and said it felt much more like a family-like atmosphere. I think he even said it felt a little more laid back, and he thought that suited him better. And he's had great results at Junior Motorsports the last 3.5 years. He's won 8 Xfinity races, was in the Championship 4 last year, and is one of the Championship 4 favorites this year. So I think back to the differences between KBM, a little more intense, versus JRM, a little less intense, and I look at Gragson's, the disparity in performance. He was certainly better in a JRM car. Maybe just Xfinity versus trucks, those cars suited him better, who knows? Just something I noticed watching this press conference. I have never seen a more polished Noah Gragson than I did on that live stream this afternoon. Anyway, moving away from that a little bit, I'm really happy for Noah Gragson, and I'm happy for NASCAR Cup Series fans, because Noah Gragson, I think, has the talent to start learning and developing in the Cup Series, but more importantly, he has the personality. I know I keep using that word, and it's kind of a broad word, but Gragson is one of the most colorful, the most outlandish, the most shocking, sometimes controversial personalities in the Xfinity garage. Moving that show up to Sundays in front of the big crowds, I think is going to do the sport a lot of good. Love him or hate him, he's the kind of character we need to see more of in the NASCAR Cup Series. Now looking at this from Gragson's perspective, I'm thrilled that he's getting a full-time Cup Series opportunity. Now, as I talked about last week, I am a little surprised he jumped at this opportunity because I'm not convinced Petty GMS is truly a competitive, playoff capable team just yet. Like Eric Jones has looked really good in the 43, but he has Dave Ellens as his crew chief. I don't think they're going to move Ellens over to Gragson, but who knows, maybe they'll mix some people up. I'm just not convinced that 42 car has the infrastructure in place to make a real playoff run. I'll cite this interview again, but just a few weeks ago, CBS reported that Gragson was hoping to go Cup racing with Junior Motorsports one day. Of course, the JRM to the Cup Series, will they, won't they saga has gone on for a couple of years now and is showing no signs of slowing down, so I don't blame Noah Gragson for looking elsewhere, looking for other competitive Chevy organizations that need a ride. Remember, he tweeted a little coy smiley face emoji just minutes after the Tyler Reddick to 2311 news was announced, indicating that maybe Gragson saw an opportunity with Richard Childress. We've known he's been looking for a Cup Series ride, and he's found one. A full-time opportunity driving for one of the most iconic names in pro racing. I hope the 42 is a better car next year. I don't anticipate Noah Gragson winning a race his rookie year or contending for a playoff spot, but this is the long game. 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line, if Petty GMS continues to improve, Noah Gragson absolutely has the talent to contend for playoff spots. I'm not yet sold on him being a future champion or like a perennial championship 4 contender, but the raw talent is there. And again, going back to how polished he looked in that interview, maybe this is the right environment, the most suitable environment to get that talent out of him. We'll see. I'm excited. It's going to be an interesting pairing. Again, a huge pivot from Ty Dillon. I feel like him and Noah Gragson in many ways could not be more opposite. So we'll see if this benefits the GMS gang going forward. Lastly, we have to talk about this report from Adam Stern at Sports Business Journal today about NASCAR's charter system. It's safe to say that so far, the charter system has done exactly what NASCAR hoped it would do when they implemented the system, a few years ago. Owning a charter is the NASCAR equivalent to owning a franchise in another professional sport. And so far, the value of individual charters has only gone up. The goal of the charter system was to give these team owners an asset that would hopefully appreciate in value. So that if one day a team needed to shut down for some reason or another, an owner was ready to retire, get out of the sport completely, they would have something of value they could sell to make their initial investment perhaps more worthwhile, to limit the risks of initially investing in a NASCAR team. It's worked for team owners and for NASCAR so far because the value has continued to go up, but the risk, of course, is that one day it will stop going up or people won't pay what team owners believe their charters are worth. And when that day comes, things could get a little shakier. Well, for now, the value of charters are showing no sign of slowing down anytime soon. Here's what Adam Stern tweeted this morning. Asking prices for NASCAR charters have reached $20 million per sources, despite continuing skepticism from some in the industry over the true value of the sports version of franchises. That's up 48% from the $13.5 million that 2311 paid just last year. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I remember when that $13 million number was reported and thrown around last year, people's eyes got wide. Whoa, $20 million. Whoa. Now, keep in mind, that's just the asking price. No one has bought or sold a charter for that amount. That's just what existing teams are asking for. It's basic economics, supply and demand. There is a fixed number of charters. There are 36 charters. The only way any new charters will likely be added is if a new manufacturer comes in and invests more money into the sport. That's likely the only way more charters will get added. So for now, there's 36, a set amount. And right now, I think most, if not all, of those 36 charter owners are kind of happy with where they're at. They're not actively or desperately looking to sell or to get out. So right now, there are very few charters even remotely available, and yet we know there are at least several high-profile team owners trying to buy. Low supply, high demand, go back to high school economics. That typically means high prices. Are charters actually worth $20 million? Look, I have no idea. I don't know what these race teams' budgets are, not exactly. I think a lot of what's driving up the value of charters these days, I think there's a couple things. One, the next gen car, the promise that it will make owning and running a competitive Cup Series team more cost efficient in the future. I think many team owners have bought into that idea or believing that idea. But secondly, whenever the conversation shifts to the next broadcast deal, the next TV rights deal, which is due at the end of the 2024 season, everyone seems to believe that the new deal will give teams more money. It'll increase the purses or what have you. Point is, the race teams, the drivers, the owners, the crew members, they will be getting a larger piece of the pie. That's what seems to be believed throughout the industry, even though an actual TV deal is not close to being signed. It'll probably be a couple of years until that agreement gets far down the line. So I think those are the two things contributing to it. The next gen car, I think a lot of people are interested in how that's completely overhauled the business model behind the scenes. And the next TV rights deal, which again, will not go into effect until 2025. Still almost 3 years from now. Those two factors, in addition to the supply and demand, are driving up the cost of these charters. Will a bubble burst at some point? No idea. Are these high prices a serious barrier to entry for other team owners? Absolutely. Look, Jeff Gluck tweeted his kind of response saying, wow, look at how high these prices are getting. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. replied with a meme, you're not wrong there, seemingly validating that Adam Stern report that yes, the asking price for charters has gotten wild. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is probably the most high-profile team owner who's been shopping around looking into buying a charter, and I think it's safe to say for $20 million, I don't think JRM's in a position to make that work. It would take a major sponsor, it would take a major investor to justify taking on that much risk, because it is a risk. Again, everything I just talked about, the long-term cost benefits of the next gen, that's the future. We're talking about years from now. Right now, it is not cheaper to run a next gen car. Everyone's banking on the promise that 5, 10, 15 years from now, it will be cheaper, but that's the future. No one can accurately predict the future all the time. And the TV rights deal, that's also the future. Like I said, I don't think a deal is close to being signed with NBC or Fox or ESPN or whoever. So even that's based on future speculation. So anything that's based on any sort of future speculation inherently comes with risk. And if you're asking some of these team owners to risk $20 million or more dollars, don't expect a lot of offers. I'll be really curious to see if anyone buys a charter for close to 20 million this year. Like if 2311 is trying to expand, if a colleague's looking for another charter, if a team like maybe Spire, maybe Front Row decides to sell at some point, like will the price ever come down a little bit? Something, I say more reasonable, but slightly more reasonable. I don't know. I really do not know. It's interesting. It's very, very interesting. It's also very complicated. I hope I did a decent job explaining it, but I'm probably leaving out some key details as well. Anyway, share your thoughts down in the comment section below. Gragson to Petty GMS, how you feel about that, and the charter system, $20 million. Provides a bit of a safety net for guys who already own a charter, but boy, it's hard to get in with that price. Share your thoughts down in the comment section below. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We talk NASCAR news every single day here on Out of the Groove. And as always, a big thank you to my Patreon supporters as well. I couldn't do the show without your continued and very generous support each and every month. We'll be back again later this week. Plenty more to talk about before Richmond. Gosh, highly anticipated Richmond. I'm looking forward to that Blaney Truex almost like 1v1 head-to-head battle we're likely going to see on Sunday afternoon. I can't wait. I'll see you in the next video, y'all. Thanks for watching.